Hey folks, it's Finn. I have just turned 1 year post-op from first stage radial forearm phalloplasty. Happy birthday to my penis! I've uploaded a post to my lower surgery blog on Tumblr, which you can find here, and I'll also put a link in the comments below. So I thought I would talk about the kind of psychological side of lower surgery and about what it's been like to adapt over this last year to having a penis. I'd like to reflect a little bit on where I was a year ago, because obviously so much has changed. I've got a penis for a start, but more than that, if you followed my vlogs, you'll know that my feelings about lower surgery have really evolved over time. In the beginning I was a very clear-cut no, never going there, don't want lower surgery. And then after top surgery, my thoughts started to change and I thought about metoidioplasty, decided that wasn't for me, and then eventually settled on having radial forearm phalloplasty. I think a lot of people kind of have this idea that if you're in two minds about it, then the surgery isn't for you, which is absolutely rubbish. This is a gigantic operation with a number of stages and a number of possible complications. And so it's not as straightforward as I want a penis, I'm having it. You've got to weigh up whether you can deal with the surgery and all those other things in between. With top surgery, it was so much more clear-cut. I had extreme obvious dysphoria, and as far as I was concerned, the worst case scenario that could happen was that I'd either lose my nipples or have bad scarring, and I could deal with either of those as long as I didn't have to look at those moobs anymore and I didn't have to wear a binder and I could just wear normal clothes. I was happy. So that was straightforward. But actually for lower surgery it was so much more complicated, because there was the risk of losing sensation or losing the ability to orgasm, or just not being happy with how it looks. How would I know? In all of these kind of questions that are completely valid questions. And actually now, having had lower surgery, the relief I feel at having a penis that works is just huge. I feel that same relief that I felt after top surgery. I actually realised that my dysphoria was higher than I was aware of. I think there was a lot of dysphoria there. I was just squashing it down because of fears about the surgery itself. My main fears around lower surgery were loss of sensation, loss of the ability to orgasm, having a massive scar on my arm, the length of time it takes to complete over 3 stages, and actually dealing with the invasiveness of the surgery, and also whether I would adapt to a penis and be happy with the way it looked, and just generally coming to terms with having a new body part. None of those fears have come true, I'm happy to report. In terms of sensation, my sensation's still returning. It's still patches. I've explained before, they hook up the nerves. They take 2 nerves from your arm, and one is hooked up to the back of your T-dick and one is hooked up in the groin. And at present, when I touch my penis or it touches something, I feel it in those displaced areas. It is starting to be felt on the penis, but not exactly. So it is changing. So I do have some sensation there, but it is very, very displaced. However, what compensates for that is that I have retained the ability to orgasm. And so for me, even if worst case scenario I didn't get any more sensation back, I'm quite happy that I can still get happy. In terms of having a massive scar on my arm, I mean, I'm so used to my self-harm scars, and I think my ability to come to terms with my self-harm scars has continued to grow over the last year as well. So I think my fears initially were I was still getting used to bearing my arms and people seeing my self-harm scars, and so I was kind of worried about adding another huge scar to the collection, but I decided it was worth the trade-off for a penis that was as close to a natal male's penis as I could get, in terms of standing to pee and having an erectile device, being able to penetrate and all of that. And actually, I don't mind it at all. I'm actually happier with it now that I don't wear the arm sleeve. I've shared this before, that because of my old self-harm scars, I kind of have this trigger around when my arm's covered with like a bandage or something, like the arm sleeve I was using, and it was kind of making me feel bad that I'd self-harmed again or something, or that other people would see it and think I'd self-harmed, which is daft, I know, but it was making me uncomfortable. But actually, since I've not been wearing the arm sleeve, I'm a lot more comfortable with my scar. I've recently started getting it in the sun, not on purpose I should add. I've been having troubles with the arm sleeve anyway, but I've been putting factor 50 on it, and then if in bright sun covering it, but in just kind of general walking around I've been putting like child sunscreen on, and it's tanned a bit anyway, and I actually think it looks better for it. So that's actually turned out to be not an issue at all. I was worried about losing any movement in the hand, and that's absolutely fine. It does ache a little bit at times, it's a bit stiff. I would say it's not quite as strong as it once was in terms of weight bearing, but I might still need to do some work on that. But overall, none of those fears have come true. The biggest worry was definitely the coping with the amount of surgeries, the amount of recovery time, the pain, and all of that. And it has been tough. I always tell it very honestly on here. I'm not going to lie, because people need to be well informed. It's really, really hard work, and there are some days post-surgery where you just question yourself and you think, why on earth did I do this? Did I really need a penis this badly? But the good thing is, it passes, you know, it's just a small period of time, really, in the grand scheme of things, for a lifetime of penis happiness. So, you know, it's worth it, and you can get through. Before the surgery, I was kind of thinking about one stage being easier than the other or what have you, but as I've shared before, I don't really think that's relevant when you're going through it. I mean, in hindsight, stage 1 has been the hardest in terms of it being such a long recovery and there being so many multiple areas, but stage 2 was the most painful for me. That was intensely painful in terms of the catheter and in terms of just trying to stand up. Every time I stood up, the blood rushed down below, and where I'd had the vaginectomy, it was just hell. But that only lasted for 2 weeks, and the recovery was really short, and I was up and peeing straight away after my catheter was out. So really thinking about surgeries in terms of, oh, this will be better than that, it's not like that at all. You just have to get through it. I had a lot of concerns about aspects within the surgery, like choosing whether or not to bury my T-dick, choosing whether or not to have a vaginectomy, and it's hard to balance something when you don't know how you're going to feel at the end. I know I wanted a penis, but I was worried that I might lose sensation if I buried my T-dick, or just not be able to cope with not having a back cave and all of that. So it's really hard to make those decisions. It all feels so right now that everything's neat down there and there's no trace of the old me. I'm very pleased I made those decisions. And in terms of trying to come to terms with having a penis, there's no try, it's just amazing. As I said, I didn't realise just how dysphoric I was until my penis was there, and I was just like, there you are. You know, it's almost like I knew it was there. It's like I've said with my top surgery, where nothing was taken away, it was just revealed. And I do feel the same with my lower surgery, that nothing's been added, it's just the space where something was missing has been filled. I get such joy when I wake up and I throw back the covers and I can just see my penis. It's just amazing. I love, you know, just like walking around the flat naked and it's kind of swinging everywhere. I love when I wake up at night and I roll over and it slaps on my thigh. I love when I'm walking and I can feel it sort of swinging about, or I can feel its warmth on my leg, and it's just like incredible. I always try to compare it to how it was packing. It's nothing like that. Packing doesn't play any benefits really into preparing, because it's so different. It's a foreign object in your pants. The silicone is never as bendy. I was always worried about the size of phalloplasty, because obviously we're always showers. We're not like cis males who, like, when they're flaccid they get smaller and erect they get bigger. We are one size, flaccid or erect, you know, so I was worried about how that would pack. But because it's your own flesh, it kind of moulds and bends and squishes, so it's completely different. It's just such a joy to feel that part of myself. It is weird at times having a body part external to myself. That's been quite a head scratcher that I now have a bit hanging out, which is quite odd. And so much so, my spatial awareness needs to change, because I notice getting up and down from my desk, I'm knocking myself all the time. It's almost similar to like when my shoulders broadened out and I'd try and get through doorways and I'd end up knocking, because my kind of embodied self hadn't got used to this being wider, and my embodied self hasn't got used to the fact that there's a bit of me at the front now, so getting up from chairs and desks and things, and even hugging people actually, I've become very aware, I think because their sensation's increasing. When I hug people and I can feel my penis on like them, and so I'm hugging people and I'm like hanging my arms back a bit now, because I'm very aware of that space in myself where I wasn't aware of it before. This has happened throughout my transition where I feel like I'm moving into parts of my body. I didn't realise how external to my body I was. I've always been like in my head or away. I mean, I tried to block myself out with alcohol. And the more I've got sober and the more I've transitioned and my body has represented me, the more I've moved into it and am aware of it. And yeah, because I can't honestly say I was ever kind of aware of myself inside my chest or inside my lower half. And obviously because I blocked those areas out, so yeah, I'm very aware of those parts of me in ways that I wasn't. I'm very much looking forward to dating and seeing what happens there. Exciting. I'm a 42-year-old virgin. Oh my god, it's like crazy, right? All in all, none of my fears have come true. This has been a hard journey, and it's not over yet. I've still got stage 3 to go, but worthwhile. It's gone quicker than I thought, and the bits of pain and uncomfortability have been short-lived really in comparison in between. And coming through and having joy in the beginning, the developing penis as it was first new, and then having the glands created, and then being able to stand to pee, all these little things have just made it so joyful and rewarding that it kind of blots out all the pain. In terms of coping and getting through with this, I'd say that's very much how I've done it, and I think this is how it works. If you try and think, I want this created penis that works, and you focus on that, it can be really, really frustrating and daunting because it is a long time. So instead, focusing on the small stages in between is very much what I've done. I've gone, right, okay, this is the end goal, this is why I'm doing this, but right now I'm focusing on this bit here. And then you get a sense of fulfillment and success every time because you are aiming for those little things rather than the big thing. Because London can be dreadful at making you wait for ages in between stages. They say 3 months, it turns into 7. So you could be setting yourself up for a real failure here. So just concentrate on those little tiny stages. And also, I've mentioned this loads of times and it's so crucial, manage your expectations. Lower surgery is really successful now and gives a very, very, very good result, both aesthetically and functionally. However, it can never give us a cis male's penis. And I think having your expectations realistic is also very helpful. Otherwise, again, you're just going to look for this bar that can never be reached. It's, you know, for me, it had to be good enough, close enough to what I wanted, as long as it looked good. It allowed me to use a urinal, it allowed me to feel a good sized bulge in my pants, and eventually to have an erection and be able to have penetrative sex. And that's good enough for me. So I will continue to update. As soon as I hear about stage 3, I'll let you know, as per usual. Any questions, please do send me them via my FinnFan page. It's the easiest way, really, to interact with me about this stuff. I do apologise to everyone on Tumblr. I try and answer, but I still don't understand completely how to do that on Tumblr a lot of the time. I'm a bit tech stupid sometimes. So although I do reply on there, and I'm happy for comments on there, for a proper dialogue, it's much easier over on the FinnFan page where we can have a proper chat. I will see you this weekend, as it's the first Sunday of the month, for the Sunday shout out, and this weekend I'm going to be talking about anxiety. Thanks for watching, everybody. Take care of yourselves. See you Sunday.